Informational webinar for our upcoming Mid-Atlantic session of Headfirst Showcase Camps in Fairfax, Virginia. In this video, we'll first give some introductions to our team, then we'll talk about how to prepare for camp and what to expect with a schedule and logistics standpoint, and then we'll also talk through how to prepare for camp in terms of engaging with coaches and approaching the two-day experience from your recruiting process. First up, some introductions. First up is Brendan Sullivan. Brendan is the founder and president of the Headfirst companies. After growing up and having an outstanding career in the DC area, he went on to play baseball at Stanford University, where he graduated after 3 years. While there, he pitched in the Cape Cod League, and after his Stanford career, he was drafted by the San Diego Padres. He played up to AAA in the Padres organization, played one spring training with Texas Rangers, and founded Headfirst in the offseason while playing pro baseball. Next up, Jenna Orlando. Jenna is the manager of operations for the Headfirst companies. She played softball at Lafayette College, where she graduated in 2017 after a great career there as a 4-year starter for the Leopards, 2-time Patriot League academic honor roll, and a team captain. Jenna started as a leadership fellow immediately upon graduating from Lafayette and has been working at Headfirst ever since. Caitlin Elwanger. Caitlin is the Senior Associate for Program Operations for the Headfirst companies with a focus in the Showcase division. Caitlin graduated from Denison University, where she played softball all 4 years and was a 3-year team captain, and joined Headfirst upon graduating. She was a member of 2 National Honor Societies while there and was a 3-year NFCA All-Academic American. Next up is Mike Rothstein. Mike is a sales and communications fellow here at the Headfirst companies. He is currently a grad student at NYU, where he's pursuing a master's in business sports management. Mike attended college and played baseball at Florida Southern College, where he graduated with a BS in history and social science. Played baseball for all 3 years in his time there. Many of you will have spoken with Mike or gotten emails from him in the lead up to camp, as he is one of our main touch points for customers and families on the customer service side. Another face that you'll see in voice here at camp is our camp advisory partner, Diamond College Advisory Team, or DCAT. DCAT is a college advisory program for aspiring student athletes, specifically focused in baseball and softball, and particularly for student athletes who have the mission of maximizing both athletic and academic outcomes in their recruiting process, looking for great college fit options, both on the field and in the classroom. In Fairfax, we'll be joined by Justin Kronk, who is the DCAT founder and executive director. Justin was a 2-sport athlete at Amherst College, where he played football and baseball, and after that went into a number of years coaching at the college level at Amherst College, Boston College, and UNC Asheville. Next, we'll talk through what to expect in terms of the schedule and logistics and how to best prepare for camp. So camp will be held at Patriot Park North in Fairfax, Virginia on July 1st and 2nd. On that first day of camp, all players can expect to arrive between 7:15 and 7:30 to receive their camp jersey and check in. And then we'll get started with camp with an all-camp meeting at 7:40 a.m. Here's an overview schematic of the facility. You see the parking lot that's immediately off the road. If you find parking there and head towards the facility, you will start seeing some friendly, smiling faces in Headfirst shirts to take you to the right spot. Right around that star is where we'll be conducting check-in to get your players their t-shirt, get them all checked in, and then send them on to the next step towards the all-camp meeting area. The check-in process, we ask that players only work through the check-in line just to limit the number of bodies in the area. And parents, you can head directly to the all-camp meeting area, which will be indicated by the Headfirst staff. Before camp, and what you'll find in a pre-camp email that will be arriving in your inbox, is one thing you should do before camp is download the Headfirst on-site app. This will be a great touch point for details and communications before and at camp. It's where we'll post team assignments and other key communications and logistical details while we're there at Patriot Park North. Field access and seating. Parents are encouraged and welcome to stick around and watch the action. There are bleachers located next to each field. We also certainly recommend that parents can bring their own chair for more comfortable seating. There's a lot of space, and we certainly love having parents there to watch all the baseball action. Day one schedule. As I mentioned, the morning will kick off with an all camp meeting for players and parents. After that all camp meeting, where we'll introduce the Headfirst staff and talk through some of what to expect over the next 2 days, players will head off to stretch before they head into their baseball specific programming, and there will be a parents only meeting to follow that all camp meeting. After the players stretch and get loose, we'll head into the defensive showcase rotation. During the defensive showcase morning, we will group players by their showcase position. They'll rotate through the defensive showcase on the main field with all the college coaches watching, as well as rotate through a number of other stations to get them ready to showcase and to collect a number of objective measurements like 60-yard dash and overhand throwing velocity. During this time, players can showcase with whatever position they want. They can, if they're registered as a catcher and a middle infielder, but they want to showcase with the outfielders, they are certainly able to do that. We do ask that players showcase with only one position during the defensive showcase rotation. After the defensive showcase concludes, we'll head into the offensive showcase, where we will also have hitting groups grouped by position, rotating through a single station with all the college coaches watching. And again, we'll be collecting some objective measurements during this rotation, including batted ball velocity off of a tee. We'll be collecting, adding to your profile, and sending out to college coaches during and after camp as well. After the offensive showcase concludes and in the afternoon and evening of day one, we will head into our simulated games. Players will be assigned to teams, which will be announced through the on-site app at some point during the offensive showcase, and all players will play in one 7-inning game on day one and two 7-inning games on day two. These teams are balanced by primary and secondary position, so as to optimize and maximize playing time over the course of camp. They are not divided by grad year or travel team or anything else. They are purely balanced by primary and secondary defensive positions to make sure that all teams have an equal number of players at the positions to ensure equal playing time over the course of the 21 innings of gameplay. These games are also designed to facilitate action and maximize opportunities, which means that some of the rules are slightly different than you would see in a typical travel ball or tournament game. For example, we have our batting order run continuously. There isn't a traditional leadoff hitter and cleanup hitter. The batting order will run by position and will run continuously through the course of camp. So the batter that hits last on day one, the next batter will lead off the day on day two to again ensure equal number of at-bats over the course of those 3 games. As I mentioned, teams are balanced by defensive positions, by primary and secondary defensive position, again, to ensure and maximize playing time that is equal across all the teams and players. We also, during the day on day one, will have an additional coach connection period, which is a great chance for players and coaches to meet face to face, introduce themselves, and start conversations and start direct face to face engagement with the college coaches that are on their list. This is in addition to the gameplay. The day 2 schedule will roll straight into simulated games. The arrival time does depend on your team assignment, with half of the teams arriving earlier for the first wave of games, and the second wave of teams, the later wave of teams, arriving a few hours later to get loose and then start their games after that first round of games has concluded. Each team will play in 2 games over the course of day 2. In addition to the gameplay, which is 2 games for each team, there is some additional programming on day 2, including an additional dedicated coach connection period for all players on day 2. Again, a great chance to continue conversations from the first day of camp, introduce yourself to more coaches, and get to shake hands and meet face-to-face, engage directly with more coaches over the course of your day 2 action. They're also, upon arrival for each set of teams, there's a panel and Q&A for parents about the recruiting process, which will be hosted by Headfirst staff as well as Justin Kronk from DCAT. That is optional, but highly recommended for parents who have questions about the recruiting process. This will go on while players are getting loose and ready for their game. So it'll be targeted and tailored for parents and will wrap up before games start up so that parents can attend these panels and then go straight to the games without missing any of the baseball action. There also will be some additional all camp meetings and recruiting roadmap meetings led by Headfirst staff to give players more information on the recruiting process and more guidance and insight. After each team's second game, there will not be any additional all camp meetings. So after your ball player, you or your ball player wrap up your second game for the day, you are free to head on to the next stage of your journey, whether that is travel to another tournament or travel back home, catching a flight, whatever it is. After your second game on day 2, there won't be any additional all camp programming. Camp on day 2 will end by 5:30 p.m. We love to give that note just for travel considerations for people booking flights or hotel rooms or anything that they need to do to get away effectively after camp concludes. Equipment. One really, really important note about Patriot Park North. Patriot Park North is a brand new, gorgeous all turf facility. Because it is all turf, because it is brand new, spikes are not allowed on the fields. Players must wear turf shoes or sneakers at all times during camp programming. Really important note to keep these fields nice and new and impeccably clean and beautiful. For bats and helmets, players should plan on bringing their own equipment, including helmets. We do have some extra helmets to use, but we certainly recommend that players bring their own to use during gameplay. And any bats used by players must meet current high school regulations. If you can use it in your high school season, then you can use it at camp. Now let's talk about preparing for camp from a coach engagement and recruiting process standpoint. So first is between now and the start of camp is a really important time to start your pre-camp preparation, including research the attending programs and start to do some outreach with the college coaches that are on your list of schools, and also start to think through your mindset and approach for while you're at Headfirst. You have been receiving, depending on when you registered, you've been receiving weekly emails that we call the Headfirst Recruiting Roadmap, which includes exclusive grade-specific content with next steps, insights, and also opportunities and advice focused within 3 areas, including advancing your recruiting strategies, academic readiness, and then wellness and performance. So those are key areas that you can start to prepare for camp. Go back and take a look at those recruiting roadmap installments. There's in the latest email, there's always a link to previous installments. You can always go back and revisit older content. And again, super, super important between now and camp to research the attending programs and start communicating with the college coaches at the schools that make their way onto your school list. And again, when we think about preparing for camp from an engagement perspective, we think about separating it into these 3 facets: before camp, at camp, and after camp. Between now and July 1st is a key time for you to take a look at the school list that is attending, start to build out your own school list. What are the qualities in the schools that you are looking for to make for your perfect college experience? And then to start doing some targeted email outreach to those schools. Those emails to coaches should be targeted, they should be personalized, and they should be proofread. They shouldn't be mass emails, they shouldn't be BCCs, and they shouldn't be copy-pasted emails that you send to every coach in attendance. They should be highly personalized and targeted for the school that you are emailing, indicating why you are interested, including some of your information like a link to your video, a link to your sports recruits profile, your GPA, your test score, and certainly that you'll look forward to seeing them at the Headfirst event at Patriot Park North on July 1st and 2nd. At camp, the absolute key is that first bullet: engage, engage, engage. It is absolutely crucial that players take advantage of the opportunity that they have while at camp to interact directly with these college coaches. It is a unique experience and a unique opportunity to be able to take the chain link away between you and the college coaches and really speak to them and really get to know them. As I mentioned during the schedule overview, there are these dedicated uh, coach meet and greets and coach connection periods on each day of camp. But there are also a lot of times over the course of camp that you have to organically begin conversations with college coaches on the field and in the dugout. During all of your games, there will be college coaches that are assigned to be in your dugout, on your field, in the opposite dugout, behind home plate. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to start these conversations during games around the facility, as well as obviously during those coach connection periods. Now, we know at Headfirst that there are certainly some student athletes who would much rather face down a kid throwing 97 miles an hour than walk up to a coach at their dream school, shake their hand, and introduce themselves. So, this is where camp programming and Headfirst support can play a really key role in setting student athletes up for success. From a camp programming standpoint, as I mentioned, there's a lot of very organic ways to start conversations with college coaches. You don't just have to walk up to the coach at your dream school and say, "Hi, I'm Mike Rothstein, and I'd love to go to your school." You can start around the game of baseball in the dugout during games. Talk to a coach about how they teach two-strike approach in their program, or that ball that got hit down the right field line that kind of threw your team for a loop. You say, "Hey, coach, I don't think we handled that perfectly. How do you teach double cuts from the right field corner on a double in your program?" Start around the game of baseball. That can be a lot more comfortable for many student athletes as opposed to jumping directly into recruiting conversations. Going hand in hand with that is Headfirst support. At any point during camp, if you have questions about where to find a coach or how to start a conversation with a coach, or what you should do, always please use Headfirst staff as a resource to be able to help you in those conversations, to help find a coach, help start those conversations. Use the Headfirst team with any questions that you have while you're there so that you can make sure you're taking advantage of that opportunity. And then after camp, it is absolutely key that student athletes follow up with the coaches that they connected with while they were at camp. This is not necessarily just a 2-day experience where you come, you impress some coaches, and you get on a roster, right? That certainly does happen at each and every camp. But for the vast majority of players, it's going to be very, very important that you follow up with coaches after the fact. Send them an email after camp saying, "Hey, coach, thank you for working with me in the dugout. I was on team 3 and you talked to me about X, Y, or Z. It was super useful. I'm really interested in your program and I'd love to see what my next steps could be." Send those notes afterwards to engage coaches, continue the conversation, and most importantly, to express your continued interest in their program. Here's just a small sample of the coaches that will be attending, the schools that will be attending this camp upcoming in Fairfax. The key thing to highlight here is a wide variety of different schools from all over the country. There are engineering schools, there are liberal arts colleges, there are small schools, there are larger schools, there are schools from Virginia and New England and California and the Mid-Atlantic and all over the place. So this is what we think about when we build out a list for a camp, is what is the variety of school and college experiences that we are opening up to the student athletes in attendance. There's 40 plus schools that are currently slated to attend this session. You can see the full list on the confirmed coaches page of our website at headfirsthonorroll.com/baseball. A few notes on these conversations and how to approach them. There are some NCAA guidelines that dictate the sorts of conversations that Division I schools can have with student athletes of different grad years. So, for the class of 2025, meaning rising high school seniors, you are eligible to have in-person recruiting-specific conversations directly with Division I college coaches. This means that you can walk up to Coach Capon from Georgetown and say, "Hey, Coach, I'm really interested in Georgetown. I know you're interested in me. Can we talk about scholarship, roster spot, campus visit, all these things that the NCAA would term recruiting-specific conversations?" To mark that, all 2025 student athletes will receive and wear a black wristband during check-in to indicate their grad year to coaches. So the coaches have a visual marker for as a kid is walking up to them, they know that they're a 2025. So if they're a Division I coach, they know that they can pursue these recruiting specific conversations. For class of 2026 and younger, you cannot have quote unquote recruiting specific conversations with college coaches at the D1 level. It's important to note that for D2 and D3 schools, you can. For D1 schools, they are prohibited from having recruiting specific conversations with 2026 and younger before September 1st of your junior year or your senior year. So what does this mean for class of 2026 and younger? It certainly does not mean that you cannot have conversations with Division I coaches. You absolutely still should pursue the opportunity to have conversations with Division I coaches while you are there. It does mean that if you are a class of 2026 or 2027, Coach Capon at Georgetown is not going to be able to talk about certain things with you, including specific scholarship offers, where you stand in their recruiting process, coming to get on campus for a visit, these things that what the NCAA would call are recruiting specific conversations. You absolutely can and should have conversations about introducing yourself, seeking instruction and feedback on your game and the game of baseball, how to get better, how to keep developing. And you can also have conversations that are more generalized about their program. You can always talk to a coach and say, hey, coach, what do you look for when you're recruiting? You can't say, what do you look for when you're recruiting and how do I fit into that mold of what you're looking for? It's when these general conversations about the school or the program become specific and individualized to the student athlete that they become recruiting specific conversations. So class of 2026 and younger, key message here is absolutely pursue the conversations with college coaches while you are there on site. Just understand that there might be some things where if you ask a question in a certain way, a coach might say, well, I can't talk about that because you're 2026, but I'd love to talk about this and kind of pivot that conversation. A note on hotels. We work with Book Your Block. And we operate with the state of play policy. And Book Your Block secures hotel partners that are close to the facilities that we work at to contract the lowest available rate guaranteed. To learn more and to book your hotel, if you have not already done so, you can go to our website, select Enrolled Athletes at the top of the page, and then click on Travel and Accommodations Baseball from the drop-down menu. From there, you'll see a list of approved hotels, and you can book directly through there. If you are looking to submit a hotel booking exemption request because you have relatives in the area or you live close enough that you don't need a hotel, what you can do is you can email Book Your Block directly. That information about emailing them to request a booking exemption request is also listed there on that travel and accommodations page for you to take a look at. I mentioned the Headfirst mobile app. This is going to be a really important thing to have on your phone when you get to camp to make sure that we're able to stay in touch with you and pass along all the necessary information. So before camp, please go to the App Store, search for Headfirst Honor Roll, download that app, and then you're going to open the app and press Enter Passphrase. And the passphrase for the Mid-Atlantic session is 2024 BBVA1. After you enter that, you can download the guide for your specific session, and that will have more information about the schedule and the coaches attending. And when the time comes at camp, it's where we'll post your team assignments and the updated schedule, coach assignment sheet, all those important documents that you'll need to know when and where to go, when and where you need to go while you're there at camp. A note about our video partner. We work with Real Play to provide really good in-game and showcase video. It's an optional add-on purchase that you can purchase for your time while with us at Headfirst. The package includes the defensive and offensive showcase, as well as all live gameplay, which is captured from multiple camera angles. It also does include the Rapsodo pitching overlay, which is really a really compelling piece that they've been able to add over the last couple of years. They will also edit this video for you, and it will be delivered to you within 10 days of camp in an easy-to-share format. This is a great thing that you can use to slice up and post on your Twitter account or email to coaches, add to your highlight reel on Sports Recruits, all those places where you can effectively leverage video to advance your recruiting process. This is great video from a trusted partner that is captured in a controlled setting that helps you really get some good footage. If you'd like to purchase this footage, you can do so. You might have done so during the registration process. You can also always email us or go directly through the Real Play website to purchase your footage before camp or at camp and after camp as well. If you still have questions about camp or how to best prepare, this is certainly not your only chance to get your questions answered. So if you have questions about what to expect at camp, how to prepare, where you're going, how to be best set up for success, please feel free to email us at showcase@headfirstcamps.com or give us a call there at the number on the screen, 202-715-6654. One final plug, I certainly strongly recommend that all players and parents go back and take a look through the recruiting roadmap. Those drop in your inbox every Thursday afternoon, so you can go to the latest one and you can click on the links in there to get to all of the ones before that. So please at least skim through those to get a great sense of what are the pieces of advice and guidance that we can give you about how to talk to coaches, how to email coaches, how to prepare for camp, how to feel most comfortable when the spotlight is on you, all of these key parts to set yourself up for success at a Headfirst showcase. Thank you for watching this pre-camp video, and we look forward to seeing all of you at Patriot Park North on July 1st and 2nd in Fairfax.